This is a video that has been requested by a lot of members. Um, they asking me to do a bar replay. You see my life thought process when I do those liquidity markups, and also I think it was probably time for us to now look at everything we looked so far before going to other technical materials because I see that a lot of members are kind of confused about some of the topics. And I think it's time for us to do a little refresh and solidify some of the topics we discussed. So let's go together and let's see exactly what we talked about. We talked about every single liquidity markups, liquidity strategies, together. So we saw the breakout traders, we saw the break and retest traders, we saw also the trendline traders, we saw the SMC, and we saw the support and resistance. Right? In there, everything, like all the strategies here, have one thing in common: structure. They see structure as very, very, very important in their strategy. And we do also use it, just in a different way. Okay? When it's time for you to practice liquidity markup, it's mandatory that you go and check the day in hindsight, look that the day has good build up of liquidity, and then what you do is you go on bar replay. I have no idea how my trading view just switched to French. I'm gonna have to change this. I'm very sorry. So this is how I do it. So now we're gonna look together and we're gonna see exactly everything we watched together so far and how to properly. Coming out of Asia, what is the one thing we can see? I don't want you guys to start like now you're getting better and better. The point is not to mark up every single liquidity in Asia. It's pretty clear. Coming out of Asia, what are the intentions? We have clear buy side liquidity being created. So at this point, what do we have to the left? Point here. And we also have already, we can already see it, equal lows. When this point is taken, this will become even more relevant. But since there's already a structural high here, we can at least already mark up this liquidity. Let's talk together and discuss. Let me just put pause and let me put that thing in English because this is annoying. Much better. Very, very sorry. Now, we can see we have clear outs here coming in here. And let's re-talk about the invalidation shield. What is important to know is that everything in this box doesn't have liquidity. Once price leaves this box, an example, start taking new structural highs, then everything to the right does have liquidity. It's just that people are not entering these zones. So let's say we cannot have people enter here shorts, but we can have people entering buy because it's when they enter, it's not in the box anymore. So this is what the invalidation shield is that example, this point here and here, these 2 points, nobody is entering in here, right? It's impossible, too much spread. So this is what it's important to understand about the invalidation shield. So what we discuss is we have clear now buy side liquidity, new structural highs, right? We know it. We know now what we would do usually is put an alert here. So we put an alert, alert. Why? Just to confirm that this liquidity becomes significant. Also, what do we also have? We have liquidity here. Not liquidity, a structural point here. At this point, I just leave the computer, go to another pair, go take a coffee, and wait. Now, first things first is this point is taken. How is it taken? With speed, vector candle pushing. We also now have potentially our first structural shift. Again, I'm going to start spoiling a little bit what the relevant breaker structure and all that crap difference than an FBOSS. It's simple. When there's no liquidity taken, most of the time the structural breaks are false breaker structure. Right? In this case, it's very obvious. Asia high plus false breaker structure. We potentially have ourselves an SMT. Okay. So let's continue. Inducing even more to the sell side. Now we have more breakouts entering. So we add liquidity here. Very, very simple. Wait. And this is where also we have also people entering here. You saw it. I missed it. It happens, but you cannot miss it for the whole day. I forgot to put this buy side breakout here. That means that I missed that potential BE area. It's very important that once you do your markups, you will miss stuff, but you need to correct them. You need to adjust them. So see, we have our alert here. We maybe have people entering here. It's very important to, or even people entering here. Now, I know there's a wick here, but the push here is relevant. So we can put this one here, okay? This is what happens when you do your markup and bar replay. Sometimes you go too fast, you skip stuff, but you cannot let them unfixed. You need to adjust them. So in this case, we can see, and this is the only way I want you guys to look at break-even traders, is when we have a reaction. It's not about trading this reaction. I'll repeat, I will never show you how to trade this thing. Even though I do it myself, it will take you months before you even predict those break-even areas. So imagine trading out of it. So I'm not going to show you guys. So as you can see, we have a candle closure with speed reacting. This reaction justifies and amplifies or evidence of potential BE people. But is this BE means that there's no structural liquidity here? Of course not, because we still have the equal lows and we still have people potentially even entering here or lower here, whatever. It doesn't matter. Since this BE area just tells us that these guys are out. It doesn't mean these guys are out or these guys are out or these guys are out. It's just a reaction perfectly to this zone, giving us clear evidence that these breakout traders are out. But since this is still relevant, maybe if we take this high, it means that the liquidity here is there. The BE consists on just confirming if there's still liquidity below a zone. That's it. I think people misunderstand that I wanted you guys to have a BE area and try to trade with it. This is way too advanced for anyone to do this right now. So now, let's continue. Let's see what do we have now. We potentially have here, this is another good example. We want to mark up liquidity that works, right? In this case, we potentially have, again, I feel that I keep saying the word potentially, I'm sorry. Maybe we have break and retest traders, but since it doesn't provide a significant reaction, I don't mark it because it's just useless. The liquidity is already taken. Okay? Now, as we can see, we have our clear false break structure, right? And now we have a perfect reaction to the SMT. Now let's go and check. Fills perfectly the last imbalance. We'll talk about an imbalance in another video. Perfectly. Look at this, right? And usually, if you see a beautiful Jrod entry here, PI, and it even goes better with a internal break of structure here, and this is something I would take, right? This is pretty big, and you would target this zone. Why? Because it makes sense. Let's look at it together. This point just creates an internal structural high. Yes, so there is maybe liquidity here. just being built. But since price went above, came back, I don't see this as being significant right now. Once it pushes and goes above this zone, this will become important and significant. So this is trading in line with the liquidity. Okay. Continue, pushes. Now you would move yourself to break even. Reaction out of that SMT area again. Now let's push, push. Now we have new breakout traders entering here. And now we can have this liquidity here, right? Let's check again. Clear buy side liquidity, clear FBOS, SMT into a trade. Beautiful. I would take this 10 out of 10. Now there's a breakout traders pushing. Now break and retest here. As you can see, it broke, it came back, retested this zone here. We maybe have, I'm not going to put it because this is pretty bad. It's not super significant. So we perfectly hit. And now since this push now has people entering, this liquidity becomes important. Okay. So now let's go together and check exactly. This liquidity has been taken perfectly, right? And now here, is there significant liquidity here? I don't think so. Hasn't created a new low. We induce maybe break and retest traders. Not super significant other than just clear breakout traders entering. So we'll see about the reaction. And this is very important. This point hasn't made a significant low, but it's still a previous daily high. So it still has liquidity in terms of ranges of those days, right? Does it mean that it will provide a reaction and dump? No. There's no confirmation. This is why we have models, entry models, we have confirmations, we have a lot of things that provide us clear evidence of shorter buys. Let's see what happens. Takes this liquidity. Okay. Now, again, this is why I hate the bar replay. I cannot see those candles because when an inducement is almost ending, you will see it in the reaction of those candles, speed, the momentum, the slowness, the exhaustion of the price. These are things that are only seen with your gut feeling. Now we have new structural high here. So this is now becoming even better. So what I'll do, if you guys don't mind, I'll put this bigger and juicier like this. Okay. This, because now we have the higher time frame breakout. Beautiful. Okay. Okay. Candle closure like this. This is perfect. Okay. Let's go. And once you have your push like this, this is where you jump into TDM1. Let's check and let's see. We have now a relevant break of structure. See, you're starting to see the difference. This is still a structural shift, but since there's liquidity taken, this potentially becomes a break of structure. Now we have this POI on a lower time frame, probably very nice. Again, I always wait until a candle pushes. Let's go in 30 seconds. Nothing 30 seconds. This is probably lower. And we wait for the candle closure below like this. This would be where I enter here and like this. Okay. You wait for those candle reaction and this is where you would enter. Now we have a couple of points important to talk about. We have this point that is very significant with this high. With this high, but the problem is this became significant when we took the previous daily high. So that would be my target. But then again, we have what we discussed earlier. We have these equal lows, and we have maybe this new high that creates those equal lows even better. So let's look at it together. This would be my target 10 out of 10 times based on this. Now we have this point that could become maybe a break even area, but this is a little bit too close for my entry. So I'll show you exactly what I do. I go on the M5 here. You see this imbalance? That would be my break even. Would it? BE. Okay. This would be my partials because this is a very important point. Partials. Here would be monitor. You guys saw me do this monitor. So all these have alerts. So I usually edit the alert. I put it here and I say partial zone on Euro GPY, B area on Euro GPY. These are all things I do. Okay. So now see how I don't enter when the candle is here? I wait for those candle closure. I wait for the exhaustion to show me, right? I see it clearly. And this wick here confirms also gives you high evidence of the end of an inducement. And again, when you get more advanced, you will know exactly what happened here. But this is for another day. Go. Oh, this is even better. This is even better. Better. That would be a way better entry. This is why I hate bar replay. That would be a better entry here. Okay. Kind of jealous of this one. I'm not going to cheat. Okay. So now, and it seems very simple when we do it like that, but it's just that it's just basically the same thing that you guys learned so far. It's just that I see this and I know exactly what's happening because it's just so obvious. Like, look how they're building liquidity all day, and now we're just reacting to the previous daily high, and on the left there's nothing, right? Nothing. So it's normal, and see, now we have our break of structure. The break of structure would be this one here. This one would be the break of structure. Now we have our internal break of structure. What is the difference between a break of structure and an internal break of structure? We'll have a video about it, but I can spoil a little bit. A break of structure is a point that made a new high. Internal break of structure is a structure that failed to make a new high. So this is a I boss and this is R boss. So let's see what happens. Now we have liquidity being. Okay. Again, why is there a reaction here? Have being built to the upside, reacting to the zone. Probably this will actually be a reaction to a proper POI and will go higher. And this is where those candle closure are very important. At this point, I would move myself to break even because there's a reaction to this POI. We don't have a false break of structure, so we don't know if this is an SMT yet. We still don't know, so don't know. So this is why I would move myself to break even. Sorry, I was thirsty. So let's go and let's continue. All right. So what is price doing now? Reacting to this imbalance perfectly. Filled all this here. No more inefficiency. This is perfect. Actually, very perfect. Now would be your partials. Very good reaction. Potentially full of liquidity taken completely. Now, let's see what happens. Now we just triggered the relevant break of structure. Remember, this point made this new high. So this is the relevant break of structure. Now we have a decisional POI here. Okay, don't think it will be taken. Now I don't like this because now we have a significant liquidity taken and we potentially even have a proper end in here. It's possible. But we took our partial, so it's okay. Now forget about this. Let me just, we have also these equal highs, these equal lows, sorry. Oh, I'll just have to put this in here. This is done. This is done. Equal highs become significant now with this internal high. Okay, candle closure of this PY, rejecting it. How big is this PY? Too big for paste. Check here. Now we have maybe. Look how it's slowing. Look how it's slowing. Look how it's perfectly slowing. This would be your relevant break of structure, and this would be a potential entry. Just that the PY is. Let's not focus on the size of that PY because it's EUR/GPY. Let's focus on maybe the RR is good. Now we have this is good. Again, the way I enter is always super aggressive. You should just cover the highs all the time. But I trade with the candle's reaction. So I see that when it's maybe going to fill this here, these two things here. This would be my invalidation zone. That's going to be the break-even area, 100%. Okay, now it's just going to do reaction solidifying those equal lows. So this again, this would be where I enter when I'm very healthy in the day and like super focused. That would be something I would enter. It's just I just love how stupid they think we are. Like this is so freaking obvious. I'm not gonna take this. This is a little bit pulled by the hair, and that would be a stop loss. So this is pretty good, but now we have structure internally, like a lower time frame actually. But good thing I didn't take this. But this would have been a valid loss to be honest, because now we're reacting to those equal highs. It went higher, so that would have been for me maybe the F boss. That would have been the SMT, right? And I would just trade into the inducement. But it seems that it didn't like this. So that would be, so yeah. They did it on the opposite side. So it would have been this one here. Oops. Did it on the side again. See how, I don't need to go back on M5, but I go back so you guys see it because for me, I just see everything. I can strictly trade the M1. It's very easy for me. So a little mistake from my end here. So very sorry guys, but this is a clear, pushing. Now, are we reacting out of this zone? Reacting, maybe closing some position to break even here. Nice reaction, but we still have the equal highs here, right? And let me just give you another insight about equal highs. Remember when we discussed, we discussed that break even, let's say those breakout trades. And then when price is making a new high, then we have a reaction to an entry and it just wicks and potentially makes them out at break even. Equal highs and equal lows are way different. Even though they wait for this new structural high to be taken to enter in most of the cases, the more and more the price comes back to those equal lows or equal highs, just solidifies their analysis. So the equal highs and equal lows are the only and single retail strategy that I don't account the break even, because the more it comes back to their zone, the better, right? So let's expect this to have a reaction. A little reaction again, candle closure above this zone. It's out now. It's just so stupid. Like they think we are dumb. Now, we're not gonna mark that trend line because it's a little bit forced. We have new clear structural liquidity, and at this point, we can all argue that the liquidity to the upside is now gone. We only have sellers inside the market. The only buyers are here, and they're taking. And on an intraday play, this is where, if we have relevant liquidity, we discussed about it, those equal lows are very good, very important, very relevant. When we have clear liquidity taken, this is where maybe, oh God. So now we cannot argue at all that this is juicy liquidity. It has been taken. Right? Now we're building new liquidity site. When this point will be taken, clearly not wicked out, clearly this is just equal highs, and means this has been taken wick, not closing above, no confirmation of closing above. So for me, I don't have clear indications that we have stop losses here. And this is why I tell you guys to very, very important to always have those closure above that you have no doubts. Because in this case, most of you guys would think that this is an FBOS, and you are 100% right. But this is why trading is very situational. You need to know exactly what's happening as a story, and then we have clear liquidity taken. So that becomes a valid inducement POI. We have also balance to fill. We have those equal lows taken. We have an inducement POI. Now we have what we call a relevant break of structure. Right? Again, it can be an SMT or no. For me, I don't think I will be taking anything here because it's a little bit too fast for me. So that has a big taste of FBOS. And this is why you just wait. Okay. Okay, so now they reacted perfectly to the imbalance. So this is probably enough as a mitigation, but this is way too big again for 15 pips. Okay. Now, came back again. Phil took this POI. Did we had something on M1? Nah. Yeah, there's no entry for me here. No entry for me. So now faking the equal highs. Faking the equal highs. No new structural low created. So irrelevant. They're still there. Pushing, pushing, taking the liquidity here. Decent liquidity. When this point is taken, this will be there. I forgot to remove it, but this shouldn't be there. This one is there because it took this new high here. Remember, those candle closure, I'm not joking. This is thousands of hours of experience knowing that this, a lot of people would see this as relevant liquidity right now, but it didn't close above. For me, there's no confirmation entry. There's nothing. For me, this is either an R boss or an F boss. The only indication we have that this is an R boss is because of the liquidity that has been taken to the left here, right? Very important to stack all those proofs that we're trading with the liquidity. Away from it, sorry. Now, new structural high here. This becomes good liquidity. Oop, I forgot to put X here. Reaction. Here we go. Has it been taken? Yeah, it has. Now it's gone. Most of the day, yeah, this is too late in the day. Too late for the day. It's pretty much volume usually dies. So see how they're faking all of these equal highs? It's always the same thing. So the moral of the story, or the subject of this call, is you should be able to mark up liquidity perfectly like this. There's a lot of things missing in there, and it's normal because if it's not there, it's because it's insignificant. Doesn't mean that I just thought about it. what's happening also is in some cases, to keep a clear chart hygiene, we're not going to be marking all of the trend lines and all this, but you do understand that even though we have a trend line here, those structure are meant liquidated by another type of retail entry. So it's basically the same thing. And I started talking a little bit about BOS, IBOS. We discuss about break evens. This is the current level of skill that you should have. Forget about the trades. This is just me having fun because this is a little bit too easy. This day was perfect. I've seen it with a student in a one-on-one this week, and I had to cover it. This day is picture perfect. Both sessions provided beautiful entries. This is a very simple day, and these days should be math. A lot of you guys want me to go a little bit faster with the strategy, with the entries, and blah, blah, blah. But if you're not able to actually predict what the price will do, like I did it, I think that you still need a lot of practice. Trading is the same thing than playing chess. You need to know what the opponent will be maybe using as which movement he will be using in all different scenarios and variables with all the different pieces of the board. Trading is the same thing. You need to practice your brain to see and view this liquidity easily. And if right now you're not able to predict it, it's probably because you're still not mastering it. And it's completely normal. We have been here for 1 month. It's impossible to master what took me months to understand in just a couple of weeks. Please trust the process and try to be honest with yourself that you're maybe not in the current level that I expect you guys to be. And this is why I'm here to help. And you should keep practicing. So when you're sending the questions of your markups, you need to ask yourself, would you bet your life savings on those markups? Yes or no? Because I've seen some of them very vanilla and very lightly marked. You need to have a day like this, just exclude the trades. You need this to be perfect, just like an art. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is a recap of everything we looked so far. I need this to be mastered. I need this precision, and I also need this understanding. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you and catch you in Discord. Peace.